All right, everybody, welcome back to another very, very special Music Wednesday with Jermaine Purifory.
You get better and better at saying my last name.
I practiced all week.
You are so good at it
I
now.
really have.
Start off a little rough, but he's gotten. You think you got it down to a science now. So.
You know what's fun is when I try to get Siri to call you. You ought to
What
hear
does she
you
say?
it's pure. I don't even know. I can't do
Oh,
it.
please let me record it for me because I need to hear this.
It's
So,
pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
Cleveland's own, huh?
Yes, indeed.
Lee
Cleveland, Tennessee.
University.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you were sort of the start of the whole string of Lee University folks that we had.
I was not. The first was Phil Stacy.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Phil Stacy from season 6 of American Idol, and he and I have actually done some shows together. We've performed together just in Birmingham earlier this year.
That's very cool.
Yeah, but he was the first as far as the whole TV,
Yeah.
the TV stuff.
Right. And then I know, like, here in the library in our own shows, we've had, it seemed like we went 4 or 5 weeks of nothing but Lee.
Yeah,
Lee
the
people.
Sing Off, Voices of Lee. I was in Voices of Lee.
Yeah, and it wasn't on
Sing
purpose,
Off,
but it was just so much talent coming out of
Yeah,
there.
Clark Beckham, Jordan Smith won The Voice. Brooke Simpson. I mean, yeah, quite a few TV.
And I'm getting ahead of myself, but since we're talking about it, they've got an anniversary coming up, right? You're going to be part of that? Aren't they going to do the...
Yes, we are. Next month, September the 13th through the 15th, that weekend, we'll do our 25th anniversary for Voices of Lee.
I don't know how they're going to get everybody on stage.
I know it's going to be crazy. It's always so much fun because, everybody knows the same songs, and just so hearing everyone sing together, it's just really magical.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know my brain. Glenn Draper passed away recently. He was, the choral director at UTC and First Presbyterian Church, I think, for many years. And he passed away, and I know as part of his funeral they had a similar where a lot of the performers came back, and I heard nothing but great things. So I know you're excited.
Yeah, I mean that Danny Murray and Voices of Lee just really helped to shape who I am as a performer, as a musician, because he takes you as a college kid and but he treats you like a professional.
Yeah.
He says, so if I'm gonna treat you like a professional, you have to perform at the level of professional. And so he gave me the crash course before getting into it professionally.
It must have paid off. It worked.
Yeah,
or it took, whatever you want to say.
I hope it paid off. It's still paying off,
Well, let's set this up. We're here today at the public library, as we always are, and we're in the control room, I guess. Is that what we call it, Ethan? Ethan is he's on camera today, so I thought we would do something different. You wanted to bring in some pre-recorded stuff rather than perform live.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, that'd be fun. We'll do it in the control room here.
We're having a little private listening party.
Private listening.
That's what Ethan called it when I came here. So
I like it.
I like the sound of that.
So we're going to play a couple of tracks, and we're going to talk quite a bit. And, well, let's go ahead and play the first track. Tell me about it. And
let's pull up the wedding first dance. Let's pull up the wedding track. So I've put out 2 singles this year. This single was produced by my good friend. His name is Wes Seepin. Shout out to Wes. I don't even know where to look. But he's a good friend of mine and amazing songwriter. He co-wrote it with me. Being that I've sang at so many weddings, I just thought to myself, man, I need to put out a wedding song or a wedding EP or just some wedding music. I get asked to sing at weddings and I can't be there. So we got together. We started crafting this song, and then we were like, let's just put it out kind of as a wedding song. And, several couples have told me that they use it now. A lot of my friends who are wedding DJs say that, dude, you're in my playlist. We play it, which is cool. So this song's called First Dance, which is self-explanatory. Like, it is for the first dance. That's one of my favorite things in the wedding, as far as weddings. Like, the people stand there and sing for the first dance. And it's the first thing the couple does when they get married,
they can relax.
Yeah,
Most
it's
of the
pretty much
hard work's
over.
done. Exactly.
The reception's about to start, and everyone's about to get wild. And so,
Nice.
let's just have our last little first dance, or our first dance, but our last time having to be serious, So yeah, so that's what this song is about.
All right, well, cool. We're gonna listen to it, and then we'll come back and talk about it some more.
Cool.
And then, gosh, since the last time you were here, life's been pretty good. So we're gonna.
So much has happened. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
The song begins and the room stands still. I don't have the words to explain what I feel. I look at you and you look at me. I'm overwhelmed by what I see. Everything is perfect, and what matters the most is now. I know I don't deserve it, and I'm here with you, wondering how you chose me. Let's make this a moment last forever. Let's fall in love and stop the time. We made it this far, you and me together. I'm so glad you're mine. Everything I dreamed of has come true. We embrace and everything disappears. Hold on to me and we'll see this love through. This is my first dance with you. That face, that's, listen, okay, so you're making the face I want people to make after they hear that, like, you know,
No, it's sweet.
I'm
It's
not
very
married,
nice.
and I don't know if I'm ever gonna get married, but you know, I've been the guy that lives vicariously through these other couples while they're dancing, so I can write about it, you
That's
know.
very cool.
So I just wanted to kind of create the experience through song.
Didn't know this, but Ethan played a part, right? Was it this one you guys were talking about?
He played another
Next
song,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
getting ahead of myself.
It's fine.
Who all's on that? Who all?
My friend Wes, that's him playing every instrument actually, and Herb Perez, another guy who mastered it. He actually added some other guitar stuff in there. It started off with just a song with me and piano, just a vocal and a piano, and he started adding in stuff, and it kind of took on this kind of folkish vibe, which is different for me. Actually, it's not different for me. It's different for other people who I think know me to do a certain style. I've had to sing literally every genre of music,
Right.
especially, at weddings or banquets and corporate, whatever. It's just,
Right.
you don't have a genre that's like, I only do this. So it wasn't different for me, but like some of the guitar picking he was doing, it kind of took on this kind of folky vibe, and I was like, let's go with it.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the things that comes out in these discussions every week when we do this, and that always fascinates me how a song can start this way and end up.
me and Ethan were just talking about this. See, that's why we
Really?
stopped talking. We was like, let's stop talking because we're talking about how songs can take on so many different lives by one instrument, yada, yada, yada. And then his girlfriend was like, you know what? This would be good for an interview. I was like, okay, hush. We're
Yeah,
just...
save it for a recording. But yeah, I interviewed somebody not too long ago, and they said, yeah, I sat down to write a blues song, and it kept coming out like a country song.
Yeah.
How does that? I don't even know what you
Yeah.
mean, really. But
You don't plan for that kind of stuff. I think that you go in and he's like, you know what, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but my other single that we released, I came in with an idea of one thing and it turned into many different things. By the time the song is finished, it's like, I'm just not a fan of labels. I feel like a great song is a great song. I feel like great music is great music. There's just so many labels of, are you pop? Are you jazz? Are you this? And I just feel like all things music are great if it's a great melody, a great lyric, a great message. And so now I'm just open to, I don't think there's any rules with that. If you come in, want to do a country song, it could easily turn into a hip hop song. Sounds crazy, but it happens, and just roll with it,
Yeah. I even I saw the Paul McCartney interview with the thing he did with Kanye, where I think he said he just sat down and started playing a riff, and that was it. And then like a year or two later, he hears it on the radio. Kanye had taken it and completely altered it, changed it, whatever.
He's done that quite a bit with his samples. He always takes samples and just makes really cool songs out of them. Absolutely, goes Kanye with it.
let's talk about, and it's been a while, but you for what, 2 years? How long were you with the Impressions?
Yeah, about started at the end of 2016, ended off fall of 2018. Yeah, so about
Did
2 years.
did the farewell tour,
Yeah,
which ended and then didn't
and
end,
then
right?
didn't end.
Went back over to
It was
Japan.
like farewell again.
Redo.
No, we're serious this time. Farewell again, and then we're like, never mind. Let's go to Japan.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the
So
last time I talked to you, that was just happening, just starting. Remember you
yeah,
done
last time I
three?
was here, we did Music Wednesday. I sang a bunch of covers. We talked a lot about the impress. That was a fun interview. And at that point in time, we had just come back from London, and then we come back from the UK, and and it was like, yeah, it's over, and then it was confirmed even after that through our manager that we're gonna hang it up.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, 2018, the possibility of going to Tokyo and Osaka to Billboard Live in Japan come about. Now it was kind of in the works. You know how this is. Something could be in the works and never happen. So
Right.
I wasn't like planning my year around it. I was still doing everything else that I do. But our manager had contacted me. He was like, just kind of put October, September is something, just kind of block it out. Um, and he's like, yeah. And then it happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You were mentioning your professor at Lee telling you, "I'm gonna treat you like a professional. You're gonna
Hmm.
act like a professional." That's always been, pardon the pun, but that's been in my impression of those
Hmm.
guys,
Hmm. Hmm.
Fred and Sam. They're
Yeah.
they're pros, right? I mean,
They demand nothing less,
yeah,
and the position we talked a little bit about this last time. The position I came into with that gig, having uh, the history that they have, and being the lead singer, it was a lot of pressure.
yeah,
I think I almost it's like I can relate to, I don't know, from season 8 of American Idol, Adam Lambert.
hmm
Uh, amazing performer and singer, but he's the front man of Queen. He's been the front man of Queen now for a long
yeah,
time. And I often sometimes I was like, man, I wish I knew him because I would love to sit with him and ask him the pressure, or the guy that is, I don't know what his name, but he's the lead singer for Journey now. It's like any of us who have to step into
right,
these shoes when there's already a legacy that's been created, it's like it could go really good or it could not,
yeah. In a lot of ways, that's
because you're
right.
standing on the shoulders of like greatness, history. And so that was, I understood the severity of it. And I took that gig very seriously because I was like, I don't want to make y'all look bad. And they'd be like, who's this young guy that y'all have singing with you who cannot sing
Yeah,
our music? And I mean the audience.
yeah.
That's their
The
music.
that's what I was gonna ask. The
Hmm.
expectation,
Yeah.
because those are songs just like with Queen and Journey.
Hmm.
People have heard over and over and over,
Yeah.
so they have an expectation of what they're gonna hear.
Fred and Sam used to tell me, it was like, they know him better than you do. So if you mess up, they're going to be like,
Yeah, yeah.
you
That's
don't really
funny
know the
hearing that.
song, do you? And I'm like, yeah. So I worked really hard on that gig. Best, uh, I mean, as far as opportunity, I've had really cool opportunities as a musician, but that's a huge highlight because it really put me um, in the spotlight in a way that was like, because they are. Fred would say, man, Curtis Mayfield was out front, we were in the back. So Fred would tell me, when you get out there, man, we on your own. It's all you, basically. So yeah, I'm super grateful for that gig.
So how does that then? How did that play into where you are now? I know you and I talked the other day. You do, as you said, a lot of covers. You're asked to do them for weddings and things like that.
Hmm.
But I think the last year or two, if I'm not mistaken, you've sort of had an emphasis on wanting to do your own stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. You the point of this for me was always to be a working singer, and I've been blessed to do that for over 10 years. But and some people don't even have the desire to do the recording artist thing. Some people, they're okay with just doing music, doing covers, and I've done everything in music. I still work as a background vocalist at times. I work as a session singer. I do a lot of corporate entertainment, which you're always doing top 40 stuff for that. So you become hungry for your own art, because you're always interpreting someone else's material, and then you forget, wait a minute, I do write and have
Yeah,
songs of my own. It's just right now as an artist, that's not what keeps money in my pocket. People don't hire me to come sing my songs. They hire me to come sing whatever songs they want to hear, and I'm okay with that. But I just made it a point to not be so, neglectful to my own work. because I have a lot of studio work. It's just hasn't been released. Ethan knows all about that.
How how's it different? Is it different?
It's you, it's yours, like playing your song and singing your song, and it makes you. I'm sure you've heard other artists say this, like the level of sensitivity, like if I'm singing a John Legend cover, I did. This was at a wedding reception. I was singing a John Legend song, and some little girl comes up to me. She was like, "You don't sound like that man," or whatever. And I just had to laugh. And so I think her uncle was like, "Well, sweetie, he's not supposed to sound like him. He's supposed to sound like him." But she was like, "But he doesn't sound like the guy that sings the song." And I was like, "You know what? I don't. I sing higher. John Legend has this big, busty, raspy, baritone type voice." But you don't get offended because it's like at the end of the day, it's John Legend's song. Now then, you're doing your own song. It's like someone is like, "I don't like your song." I'm like, you know, really? Uh, so there's a difference. You're a little bit more sensitive. But that being said, as an artist, you have to be this way. You have to know that you're just not going to be everybody's cup of tea,
Yeah.
and that's okay. Not everybody's my cup of tea. I think music is like a buffet. You go to a buffet, you can get whatever you want. If you don't want salad, and I do, doesn't mean that anything's wrong with the buffet. It's just you want to go straight to the dessert bar. You want to go straight to getting a big slab of meat or a steak. I want to start off with, I don't know. It's a buffet, and so therefore, as an artist, I realize like I don't have to be everyone's cup of tea, because it's your choice. But everybody's gonna eat. They just might not want a serving of you. So
How about that idea, kind of going back to the wedding song and what you were saying about how it became what it needed to be? The fact that you do so many genres and can do so many, like that buffet. Does it ever brain lock you, where you're like, I don't know where to start? I could do country, or does it? It just feels like it goes right where it needs to.
it used to. It used to brain lock me. I used to think that because I do so many genres, whenever I go to work on some original stuff, that I feel like I'm somehow like I can't do because I'm who am I?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like,
That was my question.
from
Yeah,
one gig, I can, you can go from Bruno Mars to Frank Sinatra. That in itself just is such a departure. And so I used to, but mentally, I just changed my mindset. I used to let that hinder me. But now what I do is I think about the greats. Dude, people like Prince and Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, they were not a genre.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like Prince was rock, he was funk, he was jazz, he was R&B, he was, Stevie. And so I started looking at it like that. It's like use all of these influences from these different genres of music, um, and just and change the way my approach. So if I feel like I have a focus on one genre and I have to do that, and I've been there, done that. If it doesn't come out that way, you feel like you're not being productive.
Right.
So I used to allow myself to be really pigeonholed by that, but not anymore. It's like I don't go in the studio with any idea. We're just making music, and whatever it becomes is what it's gonna become, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. See, that's pretty cool, and that's what I was asking because we have a lot of people do that. They think I got to stay in my lane type
Yeah.
of thing,
And that's okay. Some people who choose to do that, like, I have other friends in the music business. Like, I am a jazz singer. They just do jazz,
right.
and that's fine. Or I just do rock, or I just think that when you're asked to wear many different hats when it comes to music, you have a choice. You can either allow it to overwhelm you like I used to, or you can say, you know what, uh, I just did a gig and we did this funk song. I come to the studio.
Yeah.
I know this is supposed to be a pop song, but add something in it to make it funky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mixing the genres together. And that's why I say all the rules at this point in the music business, I don't see it as, having been signed to a couple of labels in the past, they try to create you and put you in this box. And now it's just because of so many of us independent artists, nobody goes for that anymore.
Billie Eilish. What is she, number 2 right now?
Are you kidding? I just watched her interview this
Don't you
morning.
love her? I love her.
How is she 16 years old and she's so like
I don't know.
smart? Like I was listening to her speak and
just
I'm
love
like, she's 16.
I know. And
Whatever interview I watched this morning, that's crazy. Just this morning I was watching her interview.
watch the one she does with the guy who they eat hot wings. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, I do watch that when they do the hot wings challenge because I love hot wings. But I watched her on Q, whatever the Q radio station, and he like said something. He started talking about like Napster, He was like, "Have you ever heard of that?" She was like, "No." I was
Yeah,
like, "Dude,
yeah.
she wasn't around for
She went
Napster."
around.
But she's so knowledgeable, like in so well grounded,
Yeah.
the way she talks about fame and social media and all that kind of stuff. Like
The way she treats her fans too. That's a
yeah,
lot of the videos. I
she
like
said they're
her.
friends.
She's
She
a
don't even
lot of
like to
fun.
call them fans.
All right, tell us about this next song.
Well, this next song, I just put it out last month, July the 19th. Ethan will tell you this song took on many, 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 many different versions. Shout out to my homie DJ who produced this song for me. AKA You Crazy Bam Bam. This is a song that he and I started literally in 2015. Started, and we cut a couple of demos of it, and I'm telling you what, it literally was a song with 29 lives, is what I say. And Ethan and I just had a conversation. Apparently, he mastered a version of it,
I think I mastered its first or second live. Yeah, it was
but it never come out. And then we went back, and then
You
we
guys didn't even meet.
we never met.
I know GJ.
We've met before, but not with the song. Like I knew Justin, and apparently him and Justin worked together, but then we went back and recut a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just madness. So this song, it definitely took on many different forms, and it's definitely pop, but man, it's funk mixed in there. Very, very inspired by Michael Jackson. Was not planned that way. Here again, going back to when you go to the studio, once we were cutting the vocal, DJ told me, he said, this is kind of taking on a Michael kind of style. So we just kind of went with it. And so, yeah, this is Exceptional, my latest single. And this is totally different, mind you. Now, what we just heard with the wedding song that I put out, very folk, singer-songwriter, acoustic. Now, what you're going to hear, it's almost like you think, is that the same singer? And it is. And it's okay. So,
Cool. Let's hear it, and then we'll talk some more.
Exceptional.
You crazy, Bam Bam.
You got the thing I want, the kind of thing I like. The way you look at me gives me a feeling that I can't describe. It keeps me on a natural high, on a natural high. It's so original, no one can duplicate it. They can't compare to you because they're overrated. Oh, 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 they're so overrated. So overrated. You are genuine, beautiful. You stun and hypnotize. When you put your spell on me, something I can't deny. I'm standing here as a man, not knowing what you've done to me. Because you are exceptional, one of a kind. The way you move, you blow my mind. You don't understand what you do to a man, 'cause you're exceptional. You know I'm feeling you. You make me feel complete. Those little things you do, my heart just skips a beat when you're around. My feet can barely touch the ground. Barely touch the ground. You are genuine, beautiful. You stun and hypnotize. When you put your spell on me, something I can't deny. I'm standing here as a man, not knowing what you've done to me. Because you are exceptional, one of a kind, one of a kind. The way you move, you blow my mind. You don't understand what you do to a man, 'cause you're exceptional. Genuine, beautiful. You stun and hypnotize. When you put your spell on me, something I can't deny. I'm standing here as a man, not knowing what you've done to me. Because you're exceptional, one of a kind.
And there it is, folks.
That's cool.
See, I had to let that one rock. The groove just feels too good.
It's
The other
nice.
one is like, I don't want to put everyone to sleep because we're not at a wedding. But that one, the groove just, it locks in. It's a lot of ear candy going on there instrumentally with different guys who I had come and play on the track. So what you hear sonically is happening, but then adding in the live production, it amped it up.
And I love the history too, because it's kind of what we try to get at here. And honestly, part of the reason the library is here is so that people can learn how to build a song, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't, you just don't wake up, play it, hit record, and the
Right.
song's done, right?
And put it out.
There's work.
Yeah. We were talking about that too. It's just, all the post production and everything that has to happen for it to come together collectively. It's a lot of work. But we only hear 4 minutes of it, but the recording, I have much respect, and I've been recording for years, whether it be on my stuff or other people's stuff, whatever. Just so much respect for the recording process.
My question for 35 years of doing this, and I've asked everybody, how do you know when it's finished? That to me is the toughest.
That's a tough one.
When do you walk away? And you probably heard it now for what, 100th time, 200th time,
More.
1,000 times.
Yeah.
When you
If we
listen
count
to-
in like how many times I listen to it at home thinking this song is never gonna come out, like, yeah, more.
So how do you listen to it for that 1,001 time and say, man, I wish we'd have turned that up, or I can hear congas, or I should have,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How do you know when it's done?
You know what? I heard Bruno Mars say this in an interview. Clearly, I've mentioned his name quite a bit, so I'm a huge fan of what he does. I heard him say this in an interview, and he was like, you have to know when to just let go. You'll hit a wall. You have to know when to let go. Because us as musicians, we literally, I don't think that those wheels will ever stop turning. You'll be like, even listen to it now, like I can pick something out of that. I'm like, oh, maybe that lead line should have this, or as musicians, as music nerds, we can, if we don't let it go, we'll keep. It's like the surgeon that never finishes surgery. Eventually, you gotta,
That's a whole different
sew
thing.
him
You
up
better be
right.
done when that's
You gotta sew up the patient, wake them up from anesthesia so they can come back to life, or not come back to life, or come back, from surgery. You gotta know when to say, okay, we're done.
Right.
And I was just reading an interview with him, and he said even when it's out, he said that even when the song has been out on the radio, he said there are times he'll call his producer and be like, man, we should have turned the snare up or something, but it's out in the ether now, so we can't do anything about it. You just gotta know when to let it go, and that's tough. That's tough.
I cannot remember who I asked that question not too long ago, and they said, I generally know when I know the words by heart. When we go into the studio and I'm singing or driving in a car and I don't have to refer to notes.
Oh, wow. I
or
wish it
think
was like
about
that for
it.
this
That's
song.
when he knows,
I
at
knew the
least-
words very early on, and we were still like, For me, I think it was more so a thing, just my vocals were done for quite some time, right? And then we were just trying to figure out the arrangement of like, what do we want? Do we want live instrumentation? Do we want horns? We were like, no horns. We were like, want guitar, no guitar. Do we want live bass, no bass? Like, it was more production stuff and arranging and sonically what we wanted the track to sound like. And so, but once we got to a place where we got my vocals where we wanted, my job was done. So then it was kind of me waiting in lingo, because it's like I can't contribute to, if we're gonna add keys or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and that's, I guess, maybe one of the other things that's changed is now with all the digital and all, in the old days, it was done when the money was said it was done,
Yeah.
right? You didn't have enough to afford
That's-
studio
yeah,
time. Now you
that's
can
true.
take it home and put it away,
Live
and
with it for a
live
little
with
bit.
it and come back.
Well, and that's one thing that Danny Murray taught us as well. He was very serious about studio time, because he was like, recordings live on. Like, once they're out, they live on. So once it's out, you can't go back and say, man, I wish we could have,
Yeah.
so get it right when you're there.
Right. That's good. That's a great point. What's coming up?
What's coming up? Well, the Impressions touring is over. We can finally say we said farewell for the last time in Japan. What a way. Tokyo, Billboard Live, shout out to them. It was just an amazing way. I thought nothing could top London. When I was here last time, I said nothing's gonna top London. Japan did.
Wow.
So that's over. Post that, I just started touring with Keith and Kristen Getty. They're Christian artists based out of Nashville. And they're originally from Ireland. I just came back from Ireland with them. And so I'm about to be on tour with them again this Christmas. I'll actually be with them for these next 2 weeks in Nashville for a conference. But yeah, I started touring with them over Christmas last year. Wonderful Christian artists. You know, like I said, they're originally from Ireland, but they've been in Nashville now for quite some time. Amazing songwriters. And so I joined that tour. I mean, we played Carnegie Hall at Christmas, which is amazing. We ended off at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville. Yeah. I mean, like historic places, and me just being kind of a supporting guy, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Some people were like, it's like going from being the front man of a major tour, like the Impressions, to going and being more in the background with these artists. Like the job doesn't change for me. The role does, but as far as the job and what I give to it, no. And so I'm happy. And I said after that tour, I was kind of happy to kind of blend in. It's like, y'all be the main act, and I'll just kind of, it's cool. Because the Impressions tour was just like, hey, spotlight on you,
One of the things that I love talking to you is for this very thing, that you just, Carnegie, Grand Ole Opry, Impressions, and you're just you.
I don't know how to be anybody else. It's very frustrating when you try to be whoever you want to be. This is who I am. I think when I was here last time, you were like, are you like this all the time? And Sam spoke up. Sam was like, no, I've seen Jermaine mad. I was like, oh, yeah, I have my moments.
Yeah.
I'm
I
human.
remember that.
I'm human. But for the most part,
well, you should be happy. Life's good.
yeah.
Man.
Well, and I've changed a lot of, not to get super deep like Oprah here, but, professionally things are great. But, personally, it's just, I've changed a lot of people who are in my personal space, that really can contribute to your professional, I don't have to say that, your professional life, either in a good way or bad way. So personally, it's like I'm very selective with who I allow in that personal space. And it really has, because this music comes with its own pressure. I don't need pressure in my personal life as well.
Where can people find if they want to hear the
iTunes, every digital platform, Spotify, Amazon, all of the above.
It's Jermaine Purifory.
Yeah, you are so good at it.
Purifory.
The funny thing is I did in June, I did a Curtis Mayfield tribute show, an Impressions just by myself. And they pronounced my name wrong. Like, well, not wrong. I was there in Bethesda. I was there with the Impressions. We were there. I was in Bethesda, Maryland, and we played a date there. And they asked me to come back, which was super cool because they could have been like, oh, no, we like you with the Impressions, but oh, no, we're not. And so I came back and did a Curtis Mayfield Impressions tribute show. That was kind of the angle, which I get it. Okay. Come and do a tribute show, and it was just cool to be back on the stage. I was like, but they butchered. I butchered it. And I come out and I was like, all right. Well, and I'm so used to, listen, my name is so different. Growing up in school, like the teacher would try to like sound her way through it. Pure, and I'm like, I'm here, present. Yeah. Let me help you out a little bit. Just
go with Jermaine.
Yeah. So, but you have gotten really good at it. Really good.
Practice, like I said. All right. Well, man, always fun to see you. Let's don't wait so long next time.
Let's not. Like I said, I've been to a few countries since the last time, so
always
yeah.
Good stuff to talk about. So Jermaine, thank you. Ethan, thank you. As always, every week. This was fun. We're going to do this some more. I like this format.
I do too.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody.